All right, guys, I'm going to talk about the use of brokers here in the Philippines, because obviously we're dealing with this issue where we're trying to buy a house with Camilla, and then we were actually talked into believing that we were approved by a bank for a loan, and then talked into signing a contract with Camilla. And then not on top of that, before we sign the contract, we have to pass their in-house loan application. And during that time, they also decided that I no longer could be on the loan app, so my income wasn't going to be used there. So they actually had Risa, if she could put in additional income, and started talking to her about, she can, how many hours she works, what she does, and that she could say that she made this much. And since I have money going into my bank account, she can prove that she gets paid that. So this whole issue is now, since it was very unethical and it obviously kind of scammed us and wasn't in good faith, it comes down now who's liable for this. And Camilla right now is trying to say that they're not reliable for it because it's in the contract saying that the sales agent, they're not reliable for anything the sales agent does or do or says. And the whole issue with this is because when they do the contract, when they're working independently, meaning that there's a broker that's coming in that's licensed to handle this contract, that they're taking responsibility. And that's one of the whole thing is that's why they have to be licensed and be bonded. For this example though, Camilla isn't using that person. They're doing it in a roundabout way to make it seem like they're using a broker when they're not. So what happens is now they're violating a law. There's a law here in the Philippines that was made, I don't know the date on it, but I'll be putting that up and sharing it with you guys. But what happened is they ended up not using a broker, and they hired a sales agent, and he's licensed under a broker, but they're hiring the sales agent directly. More issues with this is that all of the advertisement, all the information that the sales agent was using didn't state who he's working for, what broker firm he's under, or who his licensed broker is. So there's no way to contact this person, know that he's even involved. And then on top of that, everything's advertised through the developer's name, Camilla. So you would right away assume that he's working directly for Camilla. Also, everything happened at Camilla's office. All the contract was signed, everything, all the negotiation, everything was done there. And during the signing of the contract, the marketing team that's going to have you sign it for Camilla comes out, and you can tell that the sales agent is definitely working for Camilla because they're the ones telling him what to do. She's the one that came out and said, well, I don't make enough, and that they needed to have more income. So he came out and did what they said. She came out with them and was saying it. And so the reason why this is a big issue is because the way they did it, they're trying to say Camilla was using a broker when they weren't, and saying that they're not responsible because they went through a broker, and that's how they're trying to get out of that. If this really did happen, this would be correct. Right now, our issue wouldn't be with the contract, it would be with the broker, and we would be asking our money back from the broker. But at this time, there's nowhere where a broker signed. We didn't have a contract to buy with a broker. We didn't give the money to a broker. We didn't even know who the broker was until we had a meeting with the lawyer. And when we left, we actually asked for it in a text and got the name. But none of our paperwork even states this. None of our paperwork that we signed even has a sales agent listed. So when Camilla isn't using a broker and causes problems like this, you don't have anybody to go after for damages when they con you into a contract. So the people here and the government actually knew this, that there had to be something there, and that's why they made this law where all real estate contracts have to be handled through a broker, unless it's privately, like me buying a house from someone on the street, because then no one's a professional sales agent or broker here, so that you don't need one. But for real estate, like sales agents or anything like that, or even land developers, they all have to use a broker. And when I was arguing with the lawyer about this, I kept on saying that there was no broker, and she even was under the understanding that we were under a broker. And then after she learned that we weren't, she then tried to say that they didn't even have to use one. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video and talk about it. Again, I will throw up that Real Estate Law Act that requires brokers, and that's the reason for it, is because the Philippines and almost all countries are really they're really firm on contracts, and I am too. For example, this contract with Camilla, if they weren't doing the whole thing and controlling the whole thing, I would totally agree that we signed the contract and we should be held liable to this contract. But then we would be going to the broker and asking for our money back and making him reliable, because he's the professional. They're the ones licensed, and they're the ones that you're putting your trust in. That's why they get paid so much. They get, I don't know what it is here, but most realtors in the state get like 7% interest, or 7% of the sales. So when you're talking about buying a house, that's actually a pretty large sum of money that they're getting. So it's another reason why those guys need to be held responsible, and then they wouldn't be letting any sales agent operate under them. Right now, how they're doing it is, again, they're just being used as I don't know, brokers are just getting licensed and then putting any salesperson underneath them, because they're not going to be held liable if they're not signing any contract saying that they're going to be liable for any foul play or unethical behavior. So they don't care as long as they're getting a paycheck. And then Camilla can sit there and say, hey, we used a broker, the sales agent is licensed under the broker. We used one because he showed you the property. And that's totally not how it works here, guys, anywhere. Broker has to be the one transacting the trade, and under the law, I'll go into it, it also says that the broker can even hire a sales agent. And again, I agree with all that too. And even if we say that he can even let you do the final sell with you, what happens is, even if you allow that, that's still on that broker. And again, if he's being liable for it, he's not going to just let all these sales agents do this and scam people into contracts without, making sure that they're more legit and legal. So what happens is you got all these sales agents running around that license under a broker that isn't really using a broker at all, and they're not being in any kind of contract stating that they're going to be liable. And then you still have the real estate developer still sitting there saying that they're not liable because there was a sales agent involved. But on paper, legally, all that stuff, he doesn't exist. He's not there. So pretty much they're just using a sales agent as a scheme to get out of liability and not letting anybody be liable. So in this particular situation here in the Philippines, how the actual developers are doing this is illegal. First off, they're not using a licensed broker legally. They're not placing them where he's actually handling it. It all should be in the broker's office. Contract should be done there. Broker should understand the contract and know what he's having you to do. It's a big ethical thing here, and it's definitely not protecting the people. Again, these guys are professionals. They're getting paid to transact your account. You're paying them. You might not be paying them directly, but they're getting a percentage of that property value. So when you're forced to use them by law and they're getting paid, they really need to have your interest, and they're having your trust into these big accounts. So you need to demand that someone's going to be held responsible for this. So for all those people that I've seen, a couple already commented that you signed the contract and stuff. Well, I understand that, and the issue isn't with the contract itself, is how we got into the contract, and who's responsible for having us get into this contract that we didn't want, and they all knew it, and that's another problem. And then also they broke the law by not using a broker. So I definitely wanted to make this video and talk about it real quick for you guys. So if you guys are having any of these problems, for sure check into it and try to know this a little bit better. Again, reason why we need a broker and stuff to be more done ethically is because the average person buying a house, they're not a lawyer, they're not a real estate agent, they don't even have to know the law that you need a broker. They don't have to know this stuff. They have their own stuff. They're not professionals. So buying a house shouldn't be as easy to get you conned in and where you're going to get your money taken when you know you don't know the law. You're not a real estate professional, and you shouldn't have to. That's why we have brokers. That's what their job is for. So again, for those people that are asking me about this situation, and you know, I signed a contract, totally agree with that, you know, but it's the whole part of, we thought we had a broker working for us. We thought the sales agent was one, and the way they did it is just, it's totally bogus, you know. For example, in the States right now, if something like this happened, it wouldn't be with the developer, it would be with the broker, or the realtor. We call them realtors in the States. And that's who I'd be having my problems with. And when you actually pay and put down a payment, you're paying it to that broker. So he's handling it until this transaction clears and all that stuff. And if there is any problems, you'd be going through the realtor and not the seller, because then the contract and everything would have been handled through the broker. Here again, we had everything handled through Camella, through their office. They had all the documents, all contracts was made through them. It was their marketing team going through it. The sales agent was just there to show us the property and get us interested in doing it, and then he went out of his way to get us to go to the bank and get the lady to tell us that we were going to be approved, and really pushed us into signing this document without being actually official. And again, we're not real estate professionals when you're buying a house, so you don't have to know this stuff. When you think that you're having a broker tell you that you're going to be approved, you know, you're going to trust them, you know, because they're the professionals. They're the ones licensed to do this stuff, and you just think that you're in good hands, and then you find out later that you're not, and then they pretty much take your money and keep it, and everyone's saying that it's not their fault that you signed a contract, even though the verbal contract of dealing with this is where it was actually broken. So, I mean, we agreed with the contract. We just didn't agree with the verbal contract of getting us to sign it and making us believe that we were approved in this loan. And again, like I said before, it goes even farther than that, when even the Camella marketing office actually went in and had Risa lie on her application and put in a different amount of money once they finally told us that I wasn't going to be on it, after they already had us apply for the loan at the office while we were. So I mean, that's where the problem is high. So even then, like for their contract, since Camella's the one that came out and handled the contract and the signing and all that stuff, they're still reliable for this contract. It would only be not liable if the realtor or broker was having this contract signed and done, and it was through him. So then he would also be signing. There'd be a contract with him too, as being able to be the broker and broker this deal. And that's the big issue on this thing. So I don't know if I'm beating it or not, like trying to get you guys to understand that it's not just the contract here. It's all about getting people into it, and the average person doesn't know the laws, doesn't know the rules, and shouldn't have to. That's the whole job of a broker. He's the one that's there, and he's supposed to protect you as the buyer, and he's supposed to be ethically for both parties, the seller and the buyer, if you're using one. In the States, actually there's more than one. Usually each person, you will have the listing broker, realtor, and you also have the buying one. You can go and get your own. And then actually when it's closing time, you will go, and usually they will have a lawyer and you will have a lawyer, and then they're transacting it. And then in most states in the US, there's title insurance and there's other stuff to make sure that all the details for that property information and title is going to be up to date and legally be transferred for you. And again, none of that is even here, but that's on a different level, not just with, I mean, I think it should be included too, because if you're selling a house here, I mean, it honestly needs to have all that stuff to date, because they're selling it to you saying, hey, you know, the title's clean and clear, you know, go ahead and buy it. And then you buy it and you find out that there's, you know, 50 million pesos worth of back taxes on it, or the, you know, there might not even be the people that are doing it. So, I mean, it's a big crazy deal that's happening here. So, but definitely here there is a law on the use of brokers. And again, we didn't have a broker involved. We didn't even know there was a broker other than the sales agent being involved until pretty much at the very end, when the lawyer kept on asking us who our broker was, and we kept on saying, we don't have one. We never had one. And then she, you know, that's where it really hit me, is like, wow, they're not using one. You know, when she went ahead and started explaining to me that the developers don't have to use a broker and they can just go ahead and sell the contract to you individually like they're a private party, and that's not the case here. So, and again, they're doing this to so many people, and it's not just here. I've already now talked to other people that's used housing developments, and they're saying, oh, they used a sales agent that was a broker. And I'm like, no way. That sales agent was a sales agent, and you didn't use a broker. But if you're not having any issues, this isn't a problem. So, I mean, for example, if the bank would have approved us, we would be buying a house right now, and we wouldn't have had any problems. The issue is when you do have issues and whose fault it is, you know. And for this case, we were all, I mean, they were pressure. I mean, I'm not kidding you how much they pressure you here on getting you to sign that contract to hold it so it doesn't sell. And you know, it's like, it's crazy. And you can believe me, I was pretty firm on saying no. 16% interest is outrageous. That's just crazy. There's no way at all. You know, there's not even a question. No, you know. And I was like that the whole time there when they brought it up. They brought up the in-house. Just don't worry about getting the loan right now. You can get it later. Go ahead and sign, because then you can fall back on this in-house. And I'm like, seriously, guys, if we don't get a loan, this deal doesn't work for us. We don't want it. We don't want to be stuck on an in-house. And I was extremely clear on that. Every time it was mentioned, I did the same reaction. And if you guys haven't noticed, I'm very repetitive when I'm firm on something. I'm fine with every time it's asked. I'm repetitive on saying no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And then, you know, finally they conned us into it. So, all right, now we're to the good stuff. Right here's the law pertaining to the broker use and all the other stuff that would be handling a real estate transaction and all that stuff. So I wanted to show it here. I will put the link in the comment or the description below so you guys can look at it in case I go too fast and don't cover a lot of it. It pretty much covers the reason why they found out that, you know, this is needed. It goes in and explains some of the key terms. Here we go. Right here, you're going to have the broker, what it is, and then you're going to have the salesperson. And most people will stop right there with the laws, and I notice all the clickbait articles. That's one of the things that originally got me to see that you have to have a licensed broker here to do a transaction. So I didn't read the other stuff. So there's a lot of sites out there that talks about the law and then also leaves a lot of it out. So you don't really know what the laws is. So one of the things I like doing is actually going and reading over the actual law to really understand it. Up until this point, until I had problems, I actually never did that and just assumed. And now I'm going through it and reading it. This whole part is pretty much the board that's going to supervise it. If we don't get anything accomplished at the Housing and Land Development Board, then I'm going to be trying to contact this board. I don't know if they're the same board or not, but it could be the same board. But it's mainly for the issue that I'm talking about right now. It's the Code of Ethics and Responsibilities to be strictly observed by all licensed real estate service practitioners, with both the sales agent and the broker all fall under that. Again, it still goes into more of the code and ethics and investigate violations of the act. How it's monitored, and it's more stuff on people that's going to be elected onto the board, term of office. So this is all governing the board that's going to be handling these issues. Then this goes into detail on responsibilities. So right here it tells you this. You guys can go ahead and read it. If I'm going too fast, go ahead and pause it to read it. Make sure you understand it. So I mean, they're making sure that you can do all this kind of stuff. So that's the reason why a broker is required to be a third party to transact this, because they're the ones that's taking the place to make sure this stuff is done correctly, legally, and ethically, and they're going to be responsible if it's not done. Also tells you how you're going to get examined and how you're going to get licensed, get a permit. Now this part has it that the brokers have to be bonded, and obviously if they hire a sales agent underneath them, they're also going to be following under their bond. And this is where it goes into it. So the sales agent was acting as one of this for our case, so they have to fall under all of this. And again, we went through this whole thing and we never had the broker's name, we never had any information, we never had a contract with them, and all of this stuff is needed in this in this transaction to hold the broker liable for any unethical practice that happens here. And we didn't get that. We even asked for 2 months. I actually asked to talk to the broker, and they never told me who he was or who it was, what company it was. 2 months I asked. The sales agent was supposed to also get us in contact with it. It never happened. All this stuff has passed until we actually talked to the lawyer, and it really started making sense that they didn't really actually use a licensed broker and sales agent. I mean, none of this stuff was in their contracts. So it really came clear that one wasn't actually used. And right here it says, and I have it on video, her saying that they actually didn't even need one once I started really pointing out that we never used a broker. And then she tried to say that you did. And right here it clearly says that they would have to be using one because they're a real estate developer. And there does have to be a contract with the sales and the salespeople and the buyer to facilitate this transaction, and none of that stuff was done. Again, we don't even know at the time who it was or anything about this kind of stuff, and they were all acting like they're using one because they're using a salesperson. Here it also goes more into detail on the sales agent and supervision for it, and this stuff it definitely wasn't covered. And it also says right here that the sales agent can't even sign on a contract without direct supervision unless the broker is doing it, unless the broker actually gives him the rights to actually do it, which I'm guaranteeing that didn't happen. And anyways, there is no contract with us and the sales agent, or the sales agent or the broker. So there is no broker in use here in this thing. And I think we missed it somewhere in this. It also goes in to talking about how the money is transacted. Again, you're not supposed to pay the developer directly like we did. We paid the developer's marketing team. You're supposed to be giving all this money to the broker. So it actually doesn't, I mean, right now they're not protected. They didn't use a broker. None of this stuff that they did was legal because they just did it wrong. And now what happens is when you start having these problems, you're going to go there and complain, and the developer is pretty much saying that it's not their fault, that they're not held reliable under the law because there's a broker that was involved that did the transaction, and they're liable. And that would be true if there was actually a broker in use and we had the information, he was in our contract, and that we could hold that person liable. But in this particular case, and many others, because I don't think any of these housing developers are doing it correctly. Like, seriously, none of them I would say are. And they're telling you that, and then you have nowhere to turn to and say, hey, you guys, someone messed up here. Someone needs to be held responsible. And then let's say you did find out who the broker was. They're going to say that they're not involved in it. There's no contracts with them in this whole deal, so they're not going to be able to be held reliable either. So in this particular situation, this is why the developer is responsible, and that's why I'm asking them to give us our money back. And their contract is voided by breaking the law without doing this stuff without a broker. So hopefully people are understanding what I'm trying to talk about here and also show. Again, you should be doing the deal, transaction, all that stuff should be done in his place of business. It doesn't say it, but that's why there's a display of license there. So they should be taking you to the broker's office. That should be where you're doing most of the, all the legal stuff. And it shouldn't be in the seller's place of business, because that place, they don't have this display of license, so you're not even able to see it. So we got most of this stuff, and they do have some of this stuff, but again, I really think they don't have a lot of stuff here. Like, for example, the broker, seeing what they have to go through is pretty much varies. The brokers here are not even close to what our realtors are in the States, and our realtors are the people underneath the broker. They can be the same people, but they're the ones that's going to be acting like their sales agent here, and then we have a broker above them. And here the sales agents are an acting realtor, and they really have nothing going on. I mean, right now I've been told that it's their training is a 4-hour seminar on being a sales agent. So doesn't really sound like a lot there, in that you're going to be learning a lot in that 4 hours. And then again, you're running around and not even using a broker and selling properties on your own and not even being in these contracts. So here's the violating stuff. So yeah, doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. All right, now we're done with that, but I wanted to go back up just to show that one of the things it is. And the reason why they have a broker, and it's mainly because they're dealing with money transactions. So a lot of times, pretty much most businesses that's dealing with money, like a bank or a lending institution or a broker, is because they're in the practice of handling people's money. So that's why there's a big thing on brokers. But here you see right here is the estate appropriating funds, therefore, and for other purposes. So it's mainly for make sure there's money involved. So they want to have pretty much guidelines on protecting people here. So again, I'm going to be putting this in the link, and hopefully this helps some of you guys for a start if you guys are having the same issue. And the Filipinos that have been ripped off or that are seeing this, seriously, push for more restrictive laws on this stuff. I'm not gonna lie, it really, when I started reading all the reviews, it made me angry. Just because when I grew up with meth heads as families, and we grew up kind of rough and more poor. And I know how hard it was for me to get into real estate, how hard it was to save, and things I needed I went without to make sure I pushed to get into real estate. And I know the feeling of what these other people are when they're saving and they're struggling, and then they have some big company come in and take their life savings from me. It really pisses me off. And I think everyone should be pissed off about this. And, you know, there's like, people aren't understanding a lot of what's going on. And again, you have no need to. That's why you have a broker. So it really annoys me that they're going to this extent to get around these loopholes of the laws and convince people that they're actually using licensed broker and they're really not using them. And then they're taking your money and telling them that, hey, we're protected under the law, that we don't owe you anything. So I'm going to end it here. I'm going to let you guys see the lawyer lady telling us they don't have to use one, and the video will end. So see you guys later.
For our first payments for the equity.
Actually, here's the thing. In the Philippines, first of all, in the Philippines, because I've heard that you're questioning the legality or the ethicality of
Yes.
us, that when there is no broker when you sign the contract
Yes.
to buy and sell. I don't know how it is in which country you're from, sir?
The U.S.
I don't know how it is in the U.S., but here in the Philippines, all contracts you don't have to have a broker to buy. You don't have to have a broker to buy a property. That's why there is no broker's name in the contract to buy and sell. It's only the buyer and then the seller. And if there are witnesses, then the witnesses there be too. Also, you also don't even have to have the contract to buy and sell notarized. That's it. You're protected so long as you sign the contract to buy and sell. You don't actually have to have a broker. Now, if you have any complaints on the broker, then you can formally give your complaints to us. However, we cannot refund the reservation fee because it is considered as an option money. Here in the Philippines, there are two types. The down payment is also considered as the option money or the reservation fee, because here's the thing. For example, when you buy a car, I don't know how it is in the US, but here in the Philippines, let's say you make a down payment. Your first payment is 10,000. Now that 10,000 is considered as reservation fee because the seller will not give that property to anyone else and will hold it for you. Now, in the jurisprudence or the Supreme Court rules, interpret it as a loss of possible income on the part of the seller because they will hold it for, let's say, 30 days or even for some 60 days. That is a potential loss of possible income for 60 days just so they can hold it for you. That's why if the sale transaction will not push through, then that option money or reservation fee is not refundable.
Okay.
So what are the...
Whoa. The reason why this is more important, we understand this if unethical behavior didn't happen. The thing is this guy talked us into it. We already told him that we couldn't get a loan because our bank wasn't letting me co-sign. Then he was like, well, come to Camela Bank. Oh no, you've got to come to Camela's bank. He's like, I'll go with you. It's BDO, Fruite Circle, meet us there. So we show up there, he shows up there. He gets their bank to tell us that I'm gonna be able to be on her loan. And he convinced us with her, the lady at the bank, to go ahead and do this because he wanted it signed, he wanted this contract done that day.
I see. Now, if there are complaints on the unethical, unfortunately, sir, the broker is not an employee.
I know, that's why that the broker needs to be involved in this. And I understand what you're saying about the broker, but this is not you selling your property to your aunt or uncle or anything. This is a third party thing where it's, we are not friends, we are not relatives, we are not, that's why a broker has to come in. And there is a law stating a a licensed broker has to transact real estate transactions. And if you go into it,
like that.
Yes, if you go into it, it does say sales agents can handle with a percentage of their thing to do some of the work, and that's leading up to it. For example, the broker doesn't want to waste his time to potential clients that don't want to buy. They just show it. He's wasting his time, so he's putting that off onto the sales agents. But when someone says, hey, I'm ready to buy, that's where the broker has to come in and finalize the deal. Make sure everything ethical and legit legally. That's why he has a license. Otherwise, this whole law saying a broker has to be there is eliminated because you guys are pulling people off the street and turning them into sales agent and letting them do whatever they want, but they don't know. They don't have knowledge, they don't have the license, they don't have the ethical responsibility there. That's why a broker is very important transacting these things.
Okay, I get what you're saying, sure. I'd like to clarify, we don't have a control over brokers, but we...
But you guys are the ones selling the property. You guys do have control over the broker.
No.
Yes, because you guys are allowing
because
it.
If we do have control, then
you
they're
guys
considered as our employees, but
yes,
they're not.
But you guys are hiring them, and you guys know how your guys' brokers are operating.
We have always asked our brokers to be ethical in their practice. Now, here is what I can recommend, sir. If you want to make a complaint,
We already did. We asked for a refund, and we explained the unethical behavior of conning us into this loan and taking our money, and we wanted it back. We have put those things. If you guys can't read what happened and understand that this is a violation of our trust and the public's trust, and understand that there needed to be a broker here to do this, and understand that what happened was wrong, and you guys should know that you guys just need to refund us our money.
Have you talked to the broker?
No, we have never met with them. Over the last 2 months, we've requested to talk to a broker 4 or 5 times.
You have not talked to them?
No, we have requested though.
I texted a few times, but
We haven't even met the broker.
we haven't met anyone.
But GT is not your broker.
GT is the sales.
It's a sales agent.
But the broker is not GT. You've never
No,
met
we've never met the broker. Yeah.
Actually, the truth is that brokers are required to make a record requirements before the HLURB. You can seek help for the HLURB against the broker.
Yes, we will go there.
And also, I need to make sure you guys understand, when we came to look at this property, we came here to Camella.
Because
So if you guys are hiring out other brokers, that's still your guys' responsibility to take it up with them. When we have a complaint with Camella, I don't need to run around to 5, 10 different businesses to find out what's going on. We came here and we gave Camella the money. They need to handle this stuff, not us running around to 50 different people or whoever else.
Here's the thing, sir. We cannot represent you in your complaint with the broker because we don't know any.
I know. That's why we put in our 5.
However, here's the problem. We also want to hold our broker accountable for any actions that they may have done which may harm us. For example, defrauding or treating other our possible buyers. We also don't want that to happen to us because it might get back to us later on. So I suggest that if you have a problem with the broker, you can always seek help with the HLO before the broker, and we will also be very happy if you do that because at least we will know and we'll be able to talk to the broker.
Okay, the letter that we sent in, you guys should just send to the broker. Because again, we didn't use a broker. We don't even know what your guys are,
here's
do you understand what's going on? We came to Camella to buy a property. You guys have a sales agent here to talk to us. Then he does all this stuff and gets us into a loan that we didn't want. And now we have problems and you're sending us to a broker that we never talked to, never came here, never talked to. We came and talked to Camella. If you guys want to have that, you guys need to get the broker down here to talk to us.
Can you give us the name of the broker?
That's what I'm saying. You guys should have a broker.
Have the name of the broker?
No, we never met with him. It was JT this whole time.
And your marketing officer.
Sales agent.
And then the marketing lady came in and had us sign the contract.
Your marketing team and Jay were the one.
And it gets even better. When we went and got this loan prosely approved, we came back to sign the contract. She filled out the application. She doesn't make enough because I'm co-signing, remember? Well, no, listen, this gets good. The marketing person comes out and tells her that she doesn't need to make enough, but since I have money, that she needs to bump in extra income. Oh, why would we do it any differently? We applied with the loan with her correct amount.
The marketing is no longer connected.
It still doesn't matter. It's involved. She came out here and did it. It still happened. It doesn't matter if you guys got rid of her or not.
We cannot verify that.
Okay.
However, sir, actually, under the law, only the Filipino can own a Philippine land.
Yes, we know that. I was co-signing. Then again, you guys should all known that. You were here probably. There's 3 people here that all knew that.
As for the loans that you took with the bank, we do not have any control over that. Whether or not
But you do have control over your sales agents taking us to the bank and getting the banker to tell.
Actually, we don't.
You guys, you guys should have it. That's what I'm trying to say. Is it's your guys' responsibility? Yes, it is. It's your responsibility to make sure the Camella isn't having people unethical practices selling properties to your clients.
Okay, here's the thing. So what do you want?
We want a refund.
Unfortunately, we cannot give you.
Then that's why I'm here making an issue and I'm videoing it and I'm going to let the public know what happened, because it is also not only my right but everybody's right to see what kind of practices you guys are doing here.
We have not been doing any unethical practices. Just for the video, sir, it's actually very.
It's going to be good. It's going to be great. Yeah.
Because we do not also want to go after you for a crime.
Okay.
That's actually criminal in.
What? For me having a body cam?
Yes, actually. Yes.
Okay, is
This
it?
a
Okay, well,
private- this
you
is
can
a
come
private
after
property.
me. Yeah, you can come after me.
But
Yes,
we
but
don't
it's
wanna do
it's
that.
open to the public.
As
But I
long
do.
as
I
it's
want my
open to the
$700 back.
As I've said, sir, reservation money, even if you put this to the Supreme Court, reservation money
It's all right.
is not really refundable, sir. We really cannot refund the reservation.
So do you think
or
this,
the
what the
option.
sales agent did, was this unethical practice? Was this practice that you guys should be taking in?
That I would not know. We have not talked to the agent.
So you guys haven't even talked to the agent in question that's supposed to be handling this, that did all this stuff. You guys serious?
Getting stuff.
You guys,
They talk already to the patient. They try to explain. And so we check.
We're really not refundable, sir.
I know,
It's
but
an option money.
if you guys didn't have the sales agent go through this whole process like he did
We
and
will
get us to do it.
investigate the sales agent concerned. We have his name, you gave it to us, and we'll investigate it. Unfortunately for the refund, whether or not there's a sales agent or a broker, the option money is really not refundable because
It is when it was unethically got us into the loan. We would have not have done this if the broker or the sales agent did not do what he was doing.
here's the thing: if you want to make a complaint, because accordingly the sales agent or whoever third party it is in your eyes trick you, then perhaps you can go and complain before the proper agency, because if it's us who will be complaining against them, we will not be very credible if we complain for you.
But
You guys are the one, we came here.
Are the
Yes,
ones.
You guys are responsible for that. We paid you guys. We are asking for our money back.
We can only give out some sort of perhaps a penalty to that particular sales agent, but that will not be put a stop to whatever it is that he or she will be doing in the future to other buyers. Because that sales agent or broker, it can also be working for other real estate developers. They can
Yeah,
also
but
be
at this
connected
time
to
he was
other
working
real
for
estate
Camella.
developers.
We
Yeah,
came here. You guys are still,
that's
should be held
why we
responsible.
can- all that we can do on this particular sales agent or this particular broker, if ever he does trick our possible buyers, is to put out sanctions, but not the sanctions that you want. Because we are not authorized to do that. We do not have any power to do that. We are not the government office concerned. We'll investigate, of course. We will.
You guys should have
We don't
already
want this to
investigated.
happen
This has
again.
been
We
2
don't
months.
want this to happen again, but
it's been-
And I had a pretty detailed letter.
Here's the thing. I'd have to be very frank with you. Investigations will be between Camellia and the third party concerned. Yes, all communications will be between them, and we are not obliged to give out to you the results of the investigation.
Okay, so mainly what it comes down to at this time, you guys are refunding or denying a refund to us.
The option money, yes, sir. We have to. If you look it up, you can
And no,
just check. You can just check.
you guys took
Google
our
it.
money. You guys can give it back if you guys realize that this was unethical, and the way you guys had your sales agent and the people here, even in this office, handled this, knowing what was happening. You guys would know that this is wrong to keep our money. You guys can give us our money back, and you guys are choosing not to. This shows how your guys' company operates.
I don't know. Not
Obviously, if there's
exactly, sir.
issues and you guys can see that it's quite clearly something that was very unethical that happened here and that we were pretty much scammed into an in-house loan that we didn't want, you would understand that we would need our money back. But obviously, you guys are not understanding that and are going to keep it.
Have you talked to JT?
Yes, JT tried to give us our money back. He didn't want me to make a big deal out of this.
Okay, then what
He's
is
offering, I think.
He's
I
offering
told
us
her-
And we told him that we gave the money to Camella and we wanted our money back from Camella.
JT was offering that we said we don't want because it's also not
They're
ethical
complaining
and
about.
it's
Well, then
cheating.
if JT is telling you to, is saying that she's going to give you the money, then you should let her.
That's not even ethical. We gave the money to Camilla. We need to make sure that this is an issue, that this is happening.
Part of your money is also with her.
Then you guys need to get it back. That's not our.
No. She's already volunteering to give you the money.
Then you guys need to get it from him and give it to us because we paid Camilla.
Then we can sit for another time, and where JT will give you the money.
No, JT will give you guys the money and you guys will give us the money.
If you want, we can be a witness to that.
Yes.
We'll just
Because
witness.
right now at this time we cannot accept it from JT because we did not give the money to JT. That would be unethical for us to let him do something wrong and then pay us back.
Make the situation worse, or
Yes, it will.
Actually, here's the thing.
If we would have accepted
It's
money
very
from him,
much-
it's very unethical.
it's gonna be
It's
on
very
us.
unethical.
It's gonna be on us making
Yes,
it.
it's very unethical.
It's actually
Making it
very
worse.
inconsistent with your claim of fraudulent practice on JT's part.
Then it would go unrecognized and nothing would done, and then he could do it to other people and no one would know about it because we took our money back. It's very unethical. We gave Camilla the money and that's who we're wanting it back. We don't need to run around to a broker or any other agencies. We gave the money to Camilla and that's where we're having our
Here's
problem.
the thing, sir. Here's the thing.
I
I'd
know.
like to put it this way here. First of all, you're asking or you're telling us that in your eyes, JT was very unethical.
And he even
because-
knows he was.
And because of her alleged actions that are unethical, you were forced to pay or to give out a sum of money
Mhm.
for this property. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now you're saying that JT is so unethical and you were forced to do whatever it is that she wanted, and so you're asking for a refund. No, I'm telling you that we cannot refund an option money because really under the law it is not really refundable. But you're telling us also that because JT is so very, very sorry for what she has done, that she's willing to give back the money to you. Now, I don't actually understand because this is like
Because then it's unethical for us to take it from him.
it is holding a person who is volunteering to be liable. It is holding liable a person who says.
Yes, that's Camilla's job is to hold their sales agents reliable.
Actually, sir.
It
If
is.
you want,
You guys
can talk
are you
with-
guys not? Are you understanding what you're saying?
Yes.
You're wanting us to hold one of your employees or your byproducts of an employee, someone that's like, for example, if I'm a lawn person and I do a contract with you, but I have someone else come and mow the lawn and he hits something, I'm the owner. I still am responsible for him, even if he's operating on his own business. Like, I understand you're a lawyer, but you're just not catching what I'm talking about. You guys are responsible for the sales agents
No.
and their practices. Yes, because you guys are hiring them. You guys are hiring, if it's a different company, you are hiring them to take care of your responsibility. So not only you or Camilla's also liable, but so is the broker. You guys are all liable.
You're asking us to shoulder what.
And you guys
someone
should,
who's
'cause you
not
guys are having them do it.
employed by us
And you-
has done. Here's the thing. How about this? I think this is the best way so that everything will be peaceful. How about this? We all schedule a meeting with JT. Perhaps, I don't know, anytime this week, anytime next week.
Right?
And then we will contact JT and tell JT that you're willing to give them a particular amount.
No. It has to be given to you guys, and you guys have to give it back to us. We cannot accept it from JT.
Money from JT.
We did not give JT any money.
Then we'll talk with JT and then we'll schedule a meeting together with you and JT.
So I don't know if you understand what the ethical issue is here of us accepting money from him. It's unethical.
Here's the thing, sir.
I know, but it's
You also
unethical.
You also don't understand us. It doesn't actually work that way.
It doesn't matter if it works that way. For example, if you're hungry, you can't go into a store and steal. It's still unethical. It doesn't matter if you're starving or not. It's still not okay. You can't go do that.
It's not actually the same.
Yes, it is.
It's not the same.
Yes, it is.
Anyway.
It's exactly the same.
Anyway, how about this, sir? How about this? So that we'll put an end to everything.
Okay.
How about we schedule a meeting with JT, and then we can all come and
That's what I'm telling them earlier, that I'm going to talk to Mr.
think that's
Right.
better.
But yeah, no, we've asked several times to even talk to the broker. So I mean, I don't know why we're not even getting to talk to the broker.
Miss Rose is asking the schedule of JP so that then JP, because we don't know really the transfer, so we need only.
We'll be there. However, we really cannot settle this without JP at all.
All right.
We really can't. Oh, she has to be here. When could that be? When are you talk this over? Because actually, we really cannot refund the auction money. We'll be the first business establishment in the Philippines if we do that. And
I
we
know.
do not really want to do that because it's not.
It's still unethical for you guys not to do it, though.
No, it's not.
Yes.
We're just following the law, though.
It doesn't matter what the law is. It's still unethical.
If you want, you have brought this acts to us, alleged acts to us, and we can look into it because we also don't want that in the future.